Thought is ever creating, is ever in limitation, therefore isolating itself. Therefore, in relationship where there is activity of thought, there must be conflict. Get it? No, but see the reality of it. See the actuality of this fact, not as an idea, as a something that is happening in my life, in one's active daily life. Divorces, quarrels, hating each other, jealousy, you know about it. The misery of it all. Somebody, the wife wants to hurt you, jealous of you, and you are jealous of her. You follow? Which is all reactions which are repetitive, and therefore the activity of thought in relationship must be mechanical and therefore brings conflict. Right? That's a fact. Now, how do you deal with a fact? You understand my question? Here is a fact. My wife and I quarrel. She hates me. And I also follow response, mechanical response, the hate. And I discover that it is the remembrance of things that have happened, and that memory is stored in the brain. It continues day after day. And my whole thinking is a process of isolation. Right? And she also isolated. We never discover the truth of the isolation. That wherever there is isolation of any kind, putting on purple robe, or green robe, or purple, you follow? Must be a factor of isolation, nationalism and so on. And it must breed conflict. Now that's a fact. Now, how do I look at that fact? What am I to do with that fact? You understand me? Please, I'm not answering, you are answering, you are questioning it, you are putting this question to yourself. What's your response? How do you face this fact? With a motive? With a cause? Please, careful, don't say no. My wife hates me, and I smother it over, but I also hate her, dislike her, I don't want to be with her. Because both of us are isolated, that's a fact. I'm ambitious, she's ambitious for something else, and you follow? So, we're operating in our relationship in isolation. Now, what happens? I face the fact. You're facing the fact, not I. You're facing the fact. Do you approach it, the fact, with reason, with a ground, with a motive, which are all. Now, so how do you approach it? Without a motive? Without cause? If you approach it, or when you approach it without a cause, what then happens? Please watch it. Please don't jump to something. Watch in yourself. So far, I have mechanically approached this problem with a motive, with some reason, a ground from which I act. And I see the foolishness of such an action, because it's the result of thought and so on. So, then can I approach is there an approach to the fact without a single motive? That is, I don't want to, I have no motive. She may have a motive, or I may have motive, she has not. Then, if I have no motive, how am I looking at the fact? The fact is not different from me, right? Right? I am the fact. I am ambition, I am hate, I'm depend and so on, dependent on somebody. I am that. So I am looking, there is an observation of the fact which is myself. And the observation of the fact which is myself without any kind of reason, motive. Is that possible? If I don't do that, I live perpetually in conflict. And you may say that is the way of life. If you accept that's the way of life, that's your business. That's your pleasure. That's what your brain, tradition, habit tells you. That's inevitable. But when you see the absurdity of such acceptance, then you are bound to ask this question. All this travail is myself. I am the enemy, not you. I have met the enemy and discover it's me. So, can I observe this whole movement of me, the self, separate, isolated, tradition, the acceptance that I am separate, which becomes foolish when you examine the whole field of consciousness of humanity. I am the entire humanity which went into consciously. In my consciousness is common. So there I am. I've come to a point in understanding what is intelligence, which is said intelligence is without a cause, as love is without a cause. It has, if love has a cause, it's not love, obviously. I'm intelligent because government asked me. I'm intelligent because I'm following you. I'm intelligent because I worked in a factory. I've got a great skill. That's not all, we don't call all that intelligence. It's a capacity. capacity, intelligence has no cause. Therefore, am I looking at myself with a cause? You understand? You're following this? Am I looking at this fact that I'm thinking, working, feeling in isolation, and that isolation must inevitably breed everlasting conflict, and that isolation is myself. I am the enemy, not the Argentines or the Russians, or I am the enemy. Now, how do I look at myself without a motive? When I look at myself without a motive, right, is there myself? Myself is the cause, the effect. Myself is the result of time, which is the movement from cause to effect. So when I look at myself, at this fact without any cause, there is the ending of something and the beginning of something totally new.